Yo, what is going on, fam? Crimson Void, welcome back. Brandon, Ghost 15, Freya, Cam's Corner Books, welcome back. Looks like the XP ranks up as you chat, but I would think that would just encourage spamming. Yeah, so this XP system is new to me too. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. uh, Let me look into it, into my settings here. Oh man, sorry to hear you have COVID, Cam. That blows. I I'm glad you're here though. Timothy, welcome. Troy, good to see ya. You're always here, man. I can always trust Troy to make it. What are we researching? Great question. We're going to be researching some myths, baby. Some more mythology. If I can pull up the proper notes. This is not what I want to do. I am just looking up my list of mythology notes here to see a good jumping off point. Because I only got about an hour to stream, as you guys know, or as I see some of you already saying in the chat, it's 4th of July weekend. So, hey Troy, thanks for the donation, man. Love the Lord. John shot first. Yeah, I wanted to start this stream about an hour ago, but was running into technical difficulties with the computer. And then, yeah, slowly ran out of time. So, like, let's do some research on, or I was like, let's do a more concentrated, focused stream on a certain subject. And what will that subject be, is the question. I think it's got to be mythology, for sure. And I've got all kinds of topics here. But honestly, the one that I thought it would be cool to look up, and maybe we'll find out that there's nothing that interesting, is about the protogenoi, or what do you call them? I have no idea how to pronounce it, but the earliest generation of Titans, the Protogenos, Protogenos. At least that's the singular form. Because we don't know a whole lot about that initial generation of Titans, I feel. So sorry, Troy. Uh, but yeah, it's going to be, we're going camping this weekend, more specifically glamping, because I'm not going to sleep in the woods all weekend. But got a cabin with some friends, going to drink some moonshine, listen to some good music, and just relax, decompress. What resources do you use? You shall see, but the main resource I use for my Greek mythology research, at least when starting out, is theoi.com, theoi.com. And I'll also look into like specific books that were written if I find a book on a subject or a certain god. Uh, or I don't really use other YouTube videos out of fear of, incidentally or accidentally stealing from them. Like I don't want them to phrase a certain idea in a really effective way, and then that becomes how I remember it, and then I need to teach it to people, and I end up parroting that. Because, especially when it's a research binge, it's like hard to keep all the sources straight. So I'm like, did I? It reminds me of that little cartoon that's like to get through little stick figures, and one of them hands something to the other guy, and he's like, I made this. Then the guy he gave it to just looks at it, and he's like, I made this. So yeah, I've got a video on Nyx, the goddess of night, coming up. And while researching her, I learned more about that whole generation of gods. Let me see if I can. What's up, Cerberus? I've seen some people in the comments, I think maybe TikTok comments, confused about whether the Titans were gods or not, or like calling the Titans gods is confusing. But they're all gods, it's just they're different generations. You got the Titans and then you got the Olympians. You got the primordials in front of the Titans, although they do kind of blend together a little bit. There's quite a bit of overlap. All right, window capture. Sorry, this is taking so long. So here we got a list, I believe. Of all of the proto-genos, and it's just going to drive me nuts not knowing how to pronounce that. Would it be cool if Greek mythology had a show for adults, like Game of Thrones? Yeah, that'd be sweet. Chaos tried it a little bit, not like a, Game of Thrones style show, but a very adult-oriented Greek mythology show. But it kind of blew, man. So first we got Ether, who's a primordial god of light in the bright blue ether of the heavens. His mists filled the space between the solid dome of the sky and the transparent mists of the earthbound air. Okay. In the evening, his mother Nyx drew her dark veil across the sky, obscuring the ether and bringing night. In the morn, his sister and wife, Hemera, dispersed night's mist to reveal the shining blue ether of day. In the ancient cosmogonies, night and day were regarded as separate elements from the sun. So that's interesting. It's not like the night came. People were like, okay, there's day and then there's night. Like the light in the sky is just changing color, but it's the same sky. This was like the way that this is phrased. It makes me think that they believed it was like a literal veil of darkness over the sky. So I'm just trying to get this to fit, but also be big enough. One of the three airs. The middle air was air, or chaos, a colorless mist which enveloped the mortal world. Colorless mist. The lower air was Erebos, the mists of darkness, which enveloped the dark places beneath the earth and the realm of the dead. The third was the upper air of ether, the mist of light and blue of the heavenly ether. The ether enveloped the mountain peaks, clouds, stars, sun, and moon. Okay, and probably like the tip of Olympus as well, since that was at the top of the mountain. It's like that was the more upper atmosphere. Air was middle, appropriately, because you just call it air. And then Erebos is darkness, which is the lower level of air, I guess. And that was the sky of the underworld, I suppose. Very interesting. So what do we got here? These, on Theoi, there's usually a pretty good summary of all the information that you see below, but I still go through the information below, sometimes just control Fing it to find the most important stuff, but by going through that info below, you get direct translations of these books. So as long as you can trust the translator, you're in good shape. Theoi.com, Theoi.com. Ether was a personified idea of the mythical cosmogenes, according to that of Hyginus. He was together with night, day, and Erebus, begotten by chaos and Caligo, darkness. Never heard of Caligo. According to that of Hesiod, Ether was the son of Erebus and sister. Like, some of these Titans ends up just being kind of boring because their entire, but not just Titans, but just other gods too, their entire mythos is just who they're related to. Son of this, daughter of this, also a wife of, also married to, and here are their babies. That's what's like the bummer about mythology is, man, we're just never going to get the whole story. These accounts shew, never heard that word either. These accounts shew that in the Greek cosmogonies, ether was considered as one of the elementary substances out of which the universe was formed. In the Orphic hymns, ether appears as the soul of the world from which all life emanates. Damn. The Orphic hymns always get real deep and heavy with it. An idea which was also adopted by some of the early philosophers of Greece. I've never heard that about ether. I've heard that about like chaos, because chaos is where all life sprang out of. Mix a little bit of chaos. And then, like, even Eros came from chaos. There's also, I believe, according to the Orphic hymns, might not have been Orphic. Regardless, I think in the Orphic hymns, Nyx actually came before chaos. So, darkness in whatever Nyx represents actually preceded chaos. In later times, ether was regarded as the wide space of heaven, the residence of the gods, as I mentioned, and Zeus as the lord of the ether, or even ether itself personified. Damn, so Zeus was ether in later beliefs. See, of Nyx were born Ether and Hemera, whom she conceived a bare union from union in love with Erebus, darkness. Father of Uranus. Yeah, all of these mentions. It's just such a bummer sometimes. Air, the son of Erebos, in which the clouds float. It's like even half of this reference is just who ether is related to. Aristophanes, the birds. We talked about that in my episode called Three Battles Zeus Lost, if you want to check that out. So that's ether. Maybe something about the concept of Ohana. It's not bad. Yes, that's correct. Titans happened before the gods, so Kronos is a Titan and so is Nyx. Right. But the Titans are gods. They're deities. Gods are just deities. The Titans happened before the Olympians, but they're all gods. Ether moves order too. Ether moves all, aka the breath. Order from chaos is a common theme in all Indo-European mythologies and modern alchemy, Hermeticism. Demigods are the children of the gods and mortals, but I'm not sure if it's exclusive to that. I'm reading your chats backwards. Right, we can go to the Protogenos. Ananke. A lot of these are children of Nyx. Ananke was the primordial goddess of necessity, compulsion, and inevitability. Okay. See, primordial goddess. In the Orphic cosmogony, she emerged self-formed at the dawn of creation, an incorporeal serpentine being whose outstretched arms encompassed the breadth of the cosmos. Wow. Ananke and her mate Kronos, Their serpentine coils entwined, crushed the primal egg of creation, splitting it into its constituents parts of earth, heaven, and sea to form the ordered universe. Yeah, I remember that. I don't remember Ananke and Kronos crushing the egg, but I do remember the concept of the egg, the primordial egg existing at the beginning of time. We talk about that in the creation video from years and years ago. I think that's like 2019, if I remember right. After their act of creation, Ananke and Kronos encircled the cosmos to drive the rotation of the heavens and the eternal passage of time. They were beyond the reach of the younger gods whose fates they were sometimes said to control. Okay, so that's interesting. It's like they are. Ah, man, how do you even put that into words? They encircled the cosmos to drive the rotation, and they were even beyond the reach of the younger gods. It's like they were on a whole nother plane of existence. It's almost like reminds me of the plane that Athena exists on in God of War after she's killed, and that Odin is spending all of Ragnarok trying to get to. One sec, I just got an idea for a video and I want to add it. I have so many Greek mythology videos I want to do. You guys have no idea. I haven't really done any long form Greek mythology videos all year, but that is going to change very soon. Possibly the only ancient representation of the goddess, the torch-bearing winged figure, right, is labeled with her name. Okay. So that's Ananke, possibly the only only representation of Ananke that exists. And this is in Moscow for some reason. From 470 to 460 BCE. The personification of necessity. I really like it. It's pretty fucking cool. It's just amazing that there were all of these gods for basically everything. You know, there was a god for literally everything. So, like, she played a valuable role in the creation of the universe, and we don't really hear about her very much. Ananke. And then, you know, Nyx Chaos get all that credit. Pretty sure, yeah, like Ananke is even listed as her daughter at some point, right? Nyx. Everborn Nyx's father, who bred within this boundless coils ether. Okay. Now this is even more confusing. The Orphica Argonautica. Firstly, ancient chaos's stern Ananke and Kronos. So chaos birthed Ananke and Kronos, right? Hey, Jamal Breezy. Thanks for the donation. Glad you finally caught alive. Um, who bred within this boundless coil ether and two-sexed, two-faced, uh, glorious Eros, ever-born Nyx's father, whom later men call Phanes, for he first was manifested. So Chaos and Ananke gave birth to Nyx, allegedly, in this belief. You guys see why making a family tree is impossible? I still want to do that. I still want to do a video trying to make a Greek mythology family tree, but it would just be insane. Like, it wouldn't be able to function like a normal family tree. It'd have to be like an interactive digital thing. I need more Record of Ragnarok. I've heard of that. Every family tree is a reef. Yeah, you got that right. All right, we could check out another one. Erebos. Erebus was the primordial god Protogenos of darkness and the consort of Nyx. His dark mists encircled the world and filled the deep hollows of the earth. In the evening, Erebus's wife Nyx drew Erebus's darkness across the sky. So that's interesting, too. Is she He's the god of darkness. This specifically doesn't seem to describe him as the personification of darkness. However, his wife drew his darkness as if it was like a separate element from him across the sky, bringing night and his daughter Hemera scattered it at dawn. Okay. The first obscuring ether, the heavenly light of the ether, the second revealing it. In the ancient cosmogonies, the heavenly ether and the dark mists of the netherworld were regarded as the sources of day and night rather than the sun. Ah, gotcha. So, like, even if they knew, this is me again, just being intellectually curious and not knowing everything I'm talking about, disclaimer, but before they knew, or even when they knew that there was the sun in the sky and the moon and all of that, some believed that, and like maybe even believed that Apollo carried the sun across the sky. Not really sure where the beliefs overlap, but even though he did that, what actually made the sky dark was Nyx veiling it in darkness, and then ether dispersing that darkness the morning after. The name signifies darkness and is therefore also applied to the dark and gloomy space under the earth through which the shades pass into Hades. Cool. So they go through Erebus to get to Hades. Tolkien's Lonely Mountain is set in a land called Erebor. Ah, so true. I forgot about that. Great reference. Did the new Starting Soon screen debut? No, it did not, unfortunately. I ran out of time to set it up. But it definitely will next time. We got some cool new graphics for you guys that you'll see in future streams. This is kind of like the small pebble of the avalanche of future streams because we took a little bit of a break. I needed a break from the computer to rest my hands and my poor little tendies, but slowly but surely everything is improving. My health is improving finally, and I'm going to have a little bit more order in my life. So be working on videos at a very strict 8 to 5 during the week, probably 8 to 6 ideally. And it'll be nice to just have set hours for YouTube. I've never had that before. Josh Schmidtka asks, will you ever do videos or a series of videos explaining mythology of Tolkien and what specific myth stories he drew inspiration from, what you find, and what you also think he drew on? I would love to. I think that would be really fun. I don't think, like, I would have to look pretty deeply into it because I know that he borrowed a lot, like he borrowed names and locations and phrases from Norse mythology and ancient Latin and stuff like that. All of the dwarves' names are mentioned basically in the Prose Edda when, what's his name, King Gylfi is talking to Odin in disguise and he asks, what are the names of the dwarves? Odin lists like probably 40 dwarves, and all of those, like of those names that are listed, you can find basically all the names of the dwarves in The Hobbit, maybe tweaked just a tiny, tiny bit. At the beginning, there was only chaos, according to Aristophanes the Birds. Dark It's only Chaos, Nyx, Dark Erebus, and Deep Tartarus. Gaia, Air, and Uranus had no existence. Interesting. Firstly, black-winged night laid a germless egg in the bosom of the infinite deeps of darkness, and from this, after the revolution of long ages, sprang the graceful Eros. I'd love to do a new creation episode after reading more about this. Is there demand for that, though? I am not sure. Brandon says, I would still like to know more about Roman mythology and Roman gods. They're basically the same uh, from Greek mythology gods. Like, I there are differences in the way they were worshipped, and I usually highlight when a myth comes from Rome, a Roman writer versus a Greek writer, but more often than not, I don't bother to mention or I don't like start changing the name like from I think who's Minerva in Roman mythology? Is that Athena? Yeah, that's Athena. So it's like I'm not just going to start calling her Minerva in the middle of the episode. Maybe I could do videos like where I only focus on Roman mythology, but it just feels like retreading the same ground. I don't know. I want to do some new shit. So it's like if I did a video on Minerva and I only talked about the Roman myths, I feel like I would still end up having to touch on the same Greek myths to highlight some of the differences to make people learn it a little easier. I don't know. Hey, Caden Bullinger, good to see ya. Matrix Thompson, welcome to the stream. Agasti asks, will you ever do Hindu mythology? That I don't know. I mean, never say never. I'm not ruling it out, but Hindu mythology is very intimidating and complicated, and I would be very hesitant to get it wrong. I know there is a good creator. Um, he makes Instagram content. Let me pull him up first before I do this. I don't want to get his name wrong. Yeah, his name on Instagram is Mythology Walla. Makes some very short reels, but very informative different uh, about the differences between different myths and similarities between Greek mythology and Hindu mythology. I got to sign in to watch any of them, unfortunately, but they're all pretty good. And like I said, they're like some are only like 15 seconds long. But if you want to learn a little bit more about parallels between Greek mythology and Hindu mythology, seems like a good dude. But like I said, I can't verify how accurate the information is, so I should at least give that disclaimer. I'm assuming he's right. Seems pretty confident. And I don't see anyone in the comments complaining about it. I keep going back to Ether. I should just close out of Ether. So we got Erebus. All of these gods playing a role in the creation of the world. I think that's going to be a common theme as we run through these. Eros. And I think it'd be important to separate the different generations of Titans if I were to do a video on the Titans. Eros was the primordial god of procreation who emerged self-formed at the dawn of creation. He was the driving force behind the generation of new life in the cosmos. The Orphics named him Phanes, a primal being hatched from the world egg. He was also equivalent to Thesis, creation, and Physis, nature. Never heard of them, but we do know about Eros, as he relates to Cupid, of course. Eros was the mischievous god of love, a minion and constant companion of the goddess Aphrodite. And when it says the younger Eros, I believe that meaning younger is like twofold. Not only did he come in a later generation within the mythology, like you have Eros, uh, and Chaos and Nyx and Erebus and all of these things at the very, very top. That he got Uranus, Gaia, and Tartarus potentially, and then another generation or two down, you have the next Eros. If I remember right, I mean it's hard to keep track with the different Eroses, and you know because son of the goddess Aphrodite, right? But they both mean love, so it gets confusing. What's this? A primordial Eros Phanes, uh, hatched from the world egg, Greco-Roman relief, 60, sorry, circa 2nd AD. Eris, goddess of discord, who started the Trojan War, to the fairest. Exactly. John, remember, all mythologies have stories where it's like, this was how the world was made, etc. Then there was this one guy who couldn't keep it in his pants. Oh, Zeus couldn't keep it in his pants, Loki was bored, etc. There does have to be like a driving motivator to a guy to keep ruffling things up, right? You got, I guess, it is weird that in Greek mythology it's Odin, or sorry, it's Zeus. Norse mythology, it's Loki. Odin also does a whole lot, causes a whole lot of trouble though, for a lot of the same reasons as Zeus. He's either horny or he wants wisdom, or he's not really horny, but he uses sex as a path to gain wisdom, because he'll use anything to gain wisdom. In Egyptian mythology, it's Set, obviously. Would you ever do the history of the Anunnaki mythology? I would have to do more research into it first. You're not the first person to have suggested Anunnaki mythology, though. Frank Panizzi says, "Hey, buddy, just wanted to say I've been a fan since 2017." Well, thanks for stopping by, Frank. Appreciate that, man. Caden says, "I'm sorry I'm late." No worries, bud. Somebody has to stir the pot or nothing fun will ever happen. Exactly right. There needs to be a driving force. And, we got Eros as the driving force of all creation, but you also got uh, Eros, the younger Eros, Cupid, essentially, who I'll refer to as Cupid because it helps distinguish, as another driving force, because we have Zeus, but as I've talked about in many streams and shorts, as horny as Zeus was, it wasn't totally his fault. He had Cupid, Eros, shooting him with arrows. Yeah, that's confusing. He has Eros shooting him with arrows. He had him shooting him with arrows and making him have these affairs, basically. At least maybe that's just Zeus propaganda, but he gets a bad rap for like being influenced by a god that had the power to influence basically any god. I mean, there's even a passage from Aphrodite where she says, uh, we've already got sway over Zeus, and I can't remember. It's over the big three. I forget the exact order, but she's like, we have sway over Zeus and Poseidon. Let's also get our sway over Hades. Like, we're the ones who can really be in control here. If we control their hearts, we can control many things about them. Eros is arrows, arose, Ares, Eros. Got that right. Yes, Zeus was a liar and he was a stalker. See, that's the thing. Is he gets this reputation, and it's like I just explained some valuable context that maybe he's not totally at fault. But all of the Olympians are liars and stalkers. Let's also get that straight. According to the former, Eros was one of the fundamental causes in the formation of the world, inasmuch as he was the uniting power of love, which brought order and harmony among the conflicting elements of which chaos existed. In the same metaphysical sense, he is conceived by Aristotle, and similarly in the Orphic poetry. He is described as the first of the gods who sprang from the world's egg. So, yet a little bit of creation before the driving force of all creation showed up, because Nyx and Erebus had to come together to make the egg that Eros was then born out of. We'll move on to Gaia. Mr. Solo, when are you going to play Red Dead Redemption 2? I have no idea, but that would be a fun playthrough, that's for sure. Here we've got Gaia. I don't know if she's accepting Zeus. Erichtonius. Okay. Gaia and Erichtonius, that's the... I believe after Hephaestus tried to assault Athena, she wiped off his godly goop and threw it off Olympus, landed on Gaia, and got Gaia pregnant. Gaia gave birth to Erichtonius, and Athena took it upon herself to take Erichtonius from Gaia, and I believe she handed him off to somebody else to raise him. And then Erichtonius became the founder of Athens, the first king of Athens. Gaia was the chief antagonist of the heavenly gods. That's a really interesting way to word it. But it's not wrong. First, she rebelled against her husband Uranus, who had imprisoned several of her giant sons within her womb. Later, when her son Kronos defied her by imprisoning these same sons, she sided with Zeus in his rebellion. Finally, she came into conflict with Zeus, for she was angered by his binding of her Titan sons in Tartarus. It's like, you gave birth to these assholes, Gaia. It's like, Cronus was just disrespecting you. You were all butthurt about it, so you recruit Zeus. And then Zeus is like, hey, I'm going to have to punish these guys one way or another. And she's like, oh, no, don't do that. So then she hooks up with Tartarus itself and birthed the tribe of Gigantes, giants, and later the monster Typhon to overthrow him. But both failed in their attempts. In the ancient Greek cosmology, Earth was conceived of as a flat disk encircled by the river Oceanus and encompassed above by the solid dome of heaven and below by the great pit or inverse dome of Tartarus. Interesting. A flat disk encircled by the river Oceanus and encompassed above by the solid dome of heaven. I would love to get like an accurate map of what this would look like. A flat disk, so like it's a circle, and then it's encircled by the river. So is it a flat disk? You know, like this, but I'm showing it so you guys can see it. With a river around it. And then above that disk is the dome of heaven, and below the great pit of Tartarus. Earth supported the seas and mountains upon her breast. In Greek vase painting, Gaia was depicted as a buxom, a matronly woman rising from the earth, inseparable from her native element. In mosaic art, she appears as a full-figured woman reclining on the earth, often clothed in green and sometimes accompanied by troops of carpi, fruits, and ori, seasons. Yeah, I'd really like to do even an episode on Gaia. Would be cool. just adding to the list here. And then generation. Got a new follower. Cool. Okay. Then we'll figure out how to sort that later, but yeah, okay. Oh. Moving on to, we did Gaia. Hemera is the daytime. We kind of already know about her. Let's do Hydros. I don't know much about Hydros. Could you make a messed up origins video on the Beowulf poem? That would be really cool. I've gotten a lot of requests for Beowulf. I don't know exactly why I haven't covered him just yet, but it's definitely a possibility. In the Orphic Theogonies, Hydros, water, and mud were the first entities to emerge at the dawn of creation. What is with all of these first entities to emerge at the dawn of creation? So when exactly is the dawn of creation, right? Like when on the timeline is the dawn? Is that after Hemera was born? Like literally, if we want to get really literal with dawn? Mud, in turn, solidified into Gaia, who together with Hydros, produced Kronos and Ananke. Yeah, see, now we're just scrambling things up. This latter pair then crushed the cosmic egg with the serpentine coils, so that still tracks, to hatch Phanes, thank you, Carl, for the pronunciation of Phanes, life, and divide the cosmos into its constituent parts, heaven, air, earth, and sea. I feel like I'm all bunched up on my camera here because it's pretty cold in my basement. The figure of Hydros was derived by the Orphics from Oceanus, the earth-encircling freshwater river, which Homer describes as the source of the gods. His consort Thetis was likewise the primordial counterpart of Oceanus's wife Tethys. Read Tolkien's Beowulf, the Monsters, and the Critics. All right. Let me take a note of that then. I have a list of episodes that I'm very confident will be bangers, and I think that Beowulf is one of them. I don't know why I didn't have it on my list already. I just forget about it. I don't encounter it that much outside of requests, I suppose. Now I just need time to actually research all this stuff. Oh, nice. Parents, none, emerged at creation. I wonder how much I would have to pay my artist to create each of these characters. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. If I wanted to do a video where I had all of these gods commissioned, that would cost me like $4,000. So maybe we won't do all of them, or we'll just commission some of them. so jealous of YouTubers who are also artists. I know that like that art takes a lot of time to make, especially if you want to do it well and right. But like the amount of money that you would save is just crazy. Mr. Solo, did you know that Gaia appeared in Sonic the Hedgehog Unleashed? I did not, but now I'm going to Google it. See, I just can't get on board with these wacky depictions of Greek gods. Like, this isn't the first, like, Japanese game. I'm pretty sure Sonic is Japanese mostly, right? Um, and whenever like I see like, oh, Cronus is in this game, or Gaia, or Zeus, or even Zeus, it's like always this wacky, I don't know what to make of it depiction. Like that's I don't know if she has earth attacks, she's throwing rocks or mud or water or whatever the deal is, but just weird to me. Originally there was Hydros, says Orpheus, and mud from which Gaia solidified. The one two before the two wait, sorry, the one before the two thesis. However, he leaves unexpressed, his very silence being an intimation of its ineffable nature. The third principle after the two was engendered by Gaia and Hydros was a dragon slash serpent with extra heads growing upon it of a bull and lion and a god's countenance in the middle. It had wings upon its shoulders, and its name was Kronos, and also Heracles. It had wings upon its shoulders, and its name was Kronos, unaging time, and also Heracles. Don't know how that works, but this is an interesting description of Kronos appearing as a dragon. That sounds a little more like uh, Typhon to me. And it does sound a little similar, honestly, to after me going on that little tangent. It sounds pretty similar to that weird giant caterpillar Gaia that we just saw in Sonic. John, can you uh, John, you can appreciate the time. You can do basically anything else, including hanging with the Mrs. and Baby Solo now that you're not the artist. Yeah, I mean, I've never been the artist. Now I'm the editor, uh, it which has been great. I've got two great editors supporting me. One of them is Dylan's Projects, who you can see here in the chat. And I actually need to make a moderator once I get to it. What headphones are these? These are Audio Technica, and I really enjoy them. But yeah, Dylan and Peyton are saving me like 20 to 30 hours every single week, which has been crazy. You'd think that I would be uploading consistently at this point, but the key has been to continue to get as much rest as possible. I will need like 2 weeks of rest at the beginning of August because I am getting a minor surgery, getting my nose fixed. Been having a lot of trouble breathing lately, and as a result, trouble speaking even. Like my airflow is just not going as it should. So got to get a deviated septum fixed. So it's all the same story as conquering your own internal dragons. I'm like I'm not paying enough attention to the chat. My bad. Your artist is Willie, right? He's a frequent guest on Drawfee's channel, and I recognize his style. Yeah, Willie Tron. He's one of our artists. I work with Willie and two of his friends very often. Doug, who um, designed all of our Divine Destinations posters, along with another collaborator, and um, Sarah, who has done a ton of character designs for us as well. They're both super, super talented. I'll pull up their Instagrams real quick just so you guys can see some of their work that we have done or that they've done. Willytron 2000, the man, the myth, baby. So we don't have a ton of my art floating right at the top here, but we got some cool stuff. Akatsuki. They're also from Colombia, I believe. So there's yeah, animator based in Colombia. Sometimes animator, but character designer, illustrator. Love this one. This looks great. Gives me like Hades, Persephone, but then also Cheshire Cat vibes. If you want to follow Willy, his tag is Willytron2000 on Instagram. Got a little, I'm not going to call it what it is because I'll probably get demonetized, but a little bit of light cartoon violence there. I really like this piece that he uploaded, and I love the reference that he used. It's awesome. Like sometimes not that it takes away from the artist's talent whatsoever, but whenever like I am trying to draw a scene, even just to send a reference doodle for like an upcoming commission, I'm just like, man, I cannot figure out the layouts for these characters. Like, how do the artists do it? And sometimes they use a reference, as we can see here, or as we see in Disney, a lot of Disney movies, like the beautiful dancing scenes were just drawn over actual dancers. Great character designs here. Llorona's hair. I think that's La Llorona, if I am to remember right. I don't know who this character is. From concept to final product. Pretty sweet. Where is some art that we had commissioned from Willy? It's been a little bit. I haven't done a lot of commissions this year. Here we've got Momos or Momus. I never know how to pronounce him. Uh, Running away from Zeus after graffitiing Kronos' Wise all over the walls of Mount Olympus. Hilarious. Now Momus is like, I don't think he's like, court jesters did not exist in the Greek mythology days, clearly, but we wanted to do a reference to the fact that he appears on tarot cards and the Joker characters referred to as Momus. So then we also got Silenus, a disciple of Dionysus, and Midas, who we found in his garden, and then ended up getting donkey ears. But yeah, beautiful settings too, like beautiful backgrounds. Hermaphroditos. We got the nymph, who I'll probably mispronounce, Salmachus. She's eyeing after him, and then he's like, "Who are you, lady?" And then they become one because she prays to the gods, and for some reason the gods answer her prayers in a way that is absolutely nightmarish for Hermaphroditus. We got Malinois. Yeah, now we're really getting into my commissions. Uh, Matilda. I had him do this for our Matilda episode, and I had him draw out the alternative deleted scenes from the old versions of the book. Versions of the book that ended up getting canceled. They were literally gambling money that Miss Honey sold her like family heirloom ring for on this horse race that, as you can see with these highlights, Matilda manipulated with her powers. Malinois, with all of the ghosts that she was the goddess of and led through the mortal lands. Hades and Persephone, with Malinois accepting a sacrifice from someone for a ghost. Ragnarok, baby. Jormungandr. I love these. These are my actual wallpapers on my work computer. Jormungandr and Thor. It's beautiful. Was a collaboration between Doug, whose handle you can see here, and Willie. After the War of Ragnarok is over and we got the new generation of gods coming along, got Hod and Balder. Balder's jacked as shit. And then Magni and Modi. And Surtur from Ragnarok. Absolutely freaking love this scene. Looks so badass. Oh, and we got, I forgot Odin and the wolf, of course, Fenrir. See these reactions? There's a reason for that. These are just unreal. Then real quick, I want to do one little shout out for Sarah. Another Colombian artist, as you guys can see. No AI used. Great character artist, and I love working with her. She's designed like all of our Egyptian gods. As you can see, I should probably have her create Gaia too, because this looks like it almost. Just beautiful. Love to have this kind of talent. Damn, got fish as part of the ocean waves. And where's a recent commission I did from her? Sweet owl. Oh, here's Typhon right here. I animated this one myself. It's obviously not very fancy animation, but just did a little bit of Zeus floating against Typhon. We got Hera here over the vortex of chaos. I initially tried to spin this chaotic vortex, but I just could not figure out the proper way to do it. And then we got Zeus and I can't remember this character's name, but it's in Aristophanes' The Birds. Again, if you want to learn about 3 battles Zeus lost, those would be some good vids to check out. But, all right, guys, I hate to say goodbye because saying goodbye always sucks. So I'm just going to say see you later. I'd like to think that these streams are going to be a lot more regular going forward. We took a little bit of a hiatus in these past couple of weeks because I was getting ready to travel to Japan and then recovering from traveling in Japan. I was sick, Lauren was sick, baby Frankie got sick, so we had a lot of recovering to do, and then I was trying to manage a couple of big projects and podcasts and this and that. But that is all going to be changing going forward. I will have a lot more locked in 9 to 5, or sorry, I'd like to think 8 to 6 schedule, but we'll see how it goes. But regardless, we're going to be doing more streams, more content, more, as well as more work-life balance. That's the key. So thank you guys so much for stopping by today. I will be seeing you again soon. Probably, if not, well, it'll definitely be mid next week when I post some shorts, but also on Thursday with a review of How to Train Your Dragon, the live action movie, as well as a light review of the animated movie because they're basically the same thing. Although the animated one is obviously infinitely more beautiful, and it makes me wonder who these live action movies are for. it's so weird to me. It's not weird to me that they make them because they make money from making them, but you would just hope that a studio cares a little more about its legacy, you know, instead of just meeting the bottom line. Anyway, love you guys so much. Again, thank you so much for stopping by, researching with me, nerding out on some art with me, and I will see you soon. Until next time, my name is John Solo, and remember, John shot first.